People who quit their jobs on the spot. What happened? At last minute, owner/manager/CEO dictator revoked my Christmas leave. My wife was terminally ill, my daughter was about to move off to college, and it would be our last Christmas together, ever again. It's the only time in my life I've ever said fuck you. To a boss's face. I got told I wouldn't be getting a raise because I asked for the raise. But apparently if I hadn't asked I would have gotten it. My boss then said I was on the shit list of the higher boss, for asking, and that I wouldn't get a raise for at least a few months. Yeah, I quit right there lol. Head mechanic at a small but busy bicycle shop. Been there 5 years or so with no raises other than promised soon. Owner showed up with a nice new car and started the same old spell about there not being enough money to offer a raise of any sort. Told him to get fucked, walked out and down to the main competitor down the road. Better pay and better place to work. Once word got out I was there, a lot of the clientele followed me there. Old place was out of business in 9 months or so. I was working for a major video game company back in 2003. We were in crunch time, working from 7 o'clock a.m. to 2 o'clock a.m. 6 days a week. Right before lunch, our supervisor walks in and says, "Good news everyone, we get to come in on Sundays now, but it's only a half day." The moment he was done with his speech, I walked over to his desk and told him I was quitting immediately. He warned me that I would never work in the game industry again. I didn't give a proper 2 weeks. I told him that was fine and finished my day. I ended up working in the industry for another 3 years until I freaked out and quit for good. Never again. Newly in the field in my own early 20s and no prior experience being up high on ladders. Believe it was my 3rd day out. Cable install tech. Got to the site and it was a mid-span drop, meaning along the wire on the pole, midway between poles, and right in the way were trees and bushes, making it next to impossible for me to get the ladder correctly positioned. I tried for a good while and then called dispatch. They complained about my complaint, and basically told me to suck it up and figure it out. So I tried again, getting the ladder hooked but nearly vertical. I got the best angle I could on it and climbed up a couple of rungs, but the ladder tipped back. A few more repositions later and now I have the ladder against a tree, but there's limbs and bushes poking through the rungs. I start to climb and maybe 4 or 5 rungs up the whole ladder shifts sideways and I nearly went tumbling. Called dispatch and they more or less told me I was to stay there until I had the job done. So instead I packed everything up, told the customer I couldn't help them, and went back to the warehouse, dropped all the equipment and cable boxes and such that I had, and left. Didn't even say a word to anyone there. Oh. Maybe my favorite ever story to tell, though it's not very dramatic. I used to get mini panic attacks on Thursdays in sort of a "I can't believe this is what I'm doing with my life" kind of way. And I'd chill out by going to the vending machine or getting a drink of water and remembering the next day was the last of the week. Then one day I started feeling this way hard on a Wednesday. I started adding up all my assets in my head and figuring out how long I could go without a job. I cleaned my workstation, packed up my things, went to the office and said to the supervisor, "I think I have to quit." The night office lady cried and hugged me. I was on 3rd shift and quit in the middle around 2 a.m. or so. I'd been there 8.5 years. The de facto human resources woman, who knew I had been unhappy for a while, put a few extra vacation days on my last paycheck. My boss said something extremely rude to me while I was trying to talk to him about my cross-training for another position. I happened to be wearing a company shirt with a tank underneath. I began unbuttoning the shirt and thanking him for the opportunity and then telling him to never speak to me like that, while raising my voice and finishing with a hearty "fuck this job and fuck you too" as I threw my shirt at him. I walked outside with my stuff and a woman who worked down the hall came running outside and talked with me. We became friends and ended up living together a couple times. It's been almost 20 years and I'm going to visit her. I moved away and go to a concert in 2 weeks. My boss had me riding in the same vehicle as someone he knew had a high infectious illness, and it was a job to go into homes of both infants and elderly people. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more.